What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We are here today with Armie Armstrong, longtime friend and sub-athlete and wing foil math professor, you name it. We had him on the cover a long time ago. Remember that?
I don't know if I was an athlete, but this was the best. This was actually the best sup race I ever did.
That was the craziest sup race ever. And then Armie starts showing up on all these races, like the channel crossings with homemade foils. And before we know it, a few years later, he shows up with like state-of-the-art foil gear. Give our viewers real quick an idea. How did we get from this to this, without like not giving too much away, because we're gonna have it, because we're gonna have a full story in the next magazine where we have like an in length, a little more in depth. But yeah, tell us.
Okay, well, the story of what happened. So basically, we were, right into supping, and the sup race thing was super fun. It still is super fun, actually. And the downwinding in Hawaii was the peak of it for me, anyway.
Yeah.
And there's lots of avenues for the sup racing, but it was just so fun. And the best athletes in the world were here training and doing those races. Travis Grant, Kai Lenny. The whole
world was here.
Yeah,
I mean,
so many
it was the
great
hub.
events, and I guess COVID, it's kind of weird now, but it'll probably start up again. And then I was also doing a lot of kite surfing at the time. I've been kiting for years, and was right into that. And we got into the foiling with kiting maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And then Laird Hamilton actually came to New Zealand, and he was still riding a Mike Murphy modified sit-down foil with the aluminium T-bar mast that they were riding with the boots and stuff. And that was, I guess, 10 years ago-ish. They came to Raglan to do some footage for the Ultimate Waterman promo video. And I was filming that with Daniel Kiriopa, who went on to win the first Ultimate Waterman event. He's like one of NZ's top watermen.
I remember those events.
Yeah. So Laird came down to help promo that event, and he was towing in to Raglan, and they were towing in on these foils, getting like 3 or 4 kilometer rides. And I was just like, and we were filming it with Daniel, and I was just like, oh, that's it. I want to do that. So we started doing that with our kite foil gear, and we broke everything pretty much that we had.
I bet.
So then I was just like, and I had a really lucky, a good friend of mine's a top kite designer, I think the best in the world anyway for the kite market. And we were like, okay, let's make foils that don't break. And then that's where it started, and I just started making them in New Zealand. I got really lucky. We have some really good boat builders there. They make the America's Cup boats and stuff. So we had good technology, and so we're like, okay, let's just start making foils. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but we were just like, I've kind of sailed my whole life, so I understand wings, because sails are just a wing in the air.
Yes.
And my friend Rob has made wings for flying his whole life. He's made world championship winning hang gliders and paragliders.
Okay.
And so we were like, okay, well, it's kind of similar. Let's get our head around the foils. And so we started making them. And really lucky, Rob, like some smart things he said, like the taper of the section thickness, especially out at the tip, that's really critical for foils. And some of the other geometry. He already understood all that geometry, right? And for me, I'm more about getting in the water and just giving it a go. So this
and we see all over. Yeah, I have to say, I've been trying to wrap my brain around how foils are made. I talk to people. We have a video about that as well, and an article in the magazine. And this takes people with engineering degrees. This is not your backyard shaper person. You have a CAD program like SolidWorks or something. And this is not a program that you go download real quick and then go learn with some YouTube videos. This takes people with that know mathematical equations. What also interesting with the whole foil thing, it just seemed to, like you were at the right time, at the right place. It just exploded. You had the gear. Now we have foiling I compare it a lot to SUP, because it's particularly the pump foiling, and it's so kind of set loose from the actual conditions you can do it in. You can foil in every body of water. Now, where do you see in all those facets of the foil sport? You can do it with the wing, with the SUP, wave, no wave, people pump flat water. Where's the strongest segment? What do you see?
Well, that's the coolest thing. I don't know if there is a stronger segment. It's just like everyone's frothing on the foiling they're doing, whether it's in a lake pumping around, whether it's behind a boat, behind a jet ski, whether it's towing in, whether it's kiting, winging, because it's the sensation to me anyway. That sensation of just gliding I mean, you're flying. It's a three-dimensional board sport, which the only real one that I can compare the sensation to is snowboarding in powder.
Oh
because
yeah,
you've got
and a lot of people say
up
that.
and down, you know,
Yeah,
and
for
it's floaty.
Yeah.
And that sensation is really addictive. So whether you're using
Yeah.
whatever energy you're using to get the buzz of riding
Yeah.
the foil, and it's kind of weird actually that it's taken 40 years for it to really happen. But Mike Murphy, who's doing a bunch of stuff with us at the moment, he basically invented the T-foil with the vertical mast and the fuselage and the front wing and the back wing. He's got a patent on that system actually. But he basically came up with that idea, and that sensation of floating over the water, it's addictive, man.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know which sport is the strongest right now, which area.
What about competitiveness? Like interestingly, SOPs kind of started with the competitiveness and the competitions in downwinding, and it spread into the world from there. Foiling kind of didn't do that. It kind of started in different pockets here and there, but we haven't seen much competitions yet. They're coming out in winging, but there's no foil surf competition. There's no foil pump competition. All we kind of have is wing foil racing, and they're doing some freestyle tricks.
Yeah, I think wing foiling is going to really explode more with the competitive side. I think that's a natural progression.
Yeah.
Because it kind of relates to both windsurfing and kiting that have a real history in the race stuff. For the surf, I think there'll be competitions at some point. I mean, maybe just the status with the global situation right now that maybe slowed that down in the last 2 years. But I don't know.
It's a tricky one. We had, if you go 2 videos back, we had actually a guy here that does the Pueo Foil Jam tour, and he was working with some people at the WSL, so he said to make it an exhibit. And we actually came across a very interesting topic, because surfing is a judging sport, and one guy gets a wave at a time and then the wave is over. Now, if you're on a heat with 4 people, you might have 4 guys up at the same time, because the guys are so good, they can be up for 15 minutes for the entire time of the heat. So you have your 4 guys zooming around. How are you going to judge that?
Yeah, we had this classic in New Zealand. We actually had a foil event. The first decent one, it was in Gisborne. With the local club down there, awesome people in Gizzy. It was the local whānau put on the event down there, and the first wave of the first heat, everyone in the heat got up and rode for like 3 or 4 minutes, and the judges didn't even know where to look.
Yeah, totally.
And they were just like, yeah,
right.
We don't know how to judge that.
Totally. So how you judge this? Well, maybe there's going to has to be some hybrid of like who can stay up the longest and run a clock. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure for you as a business, it's super important to kind of follow and kind of see where the trend might be going.
I guess so. I mean, really, right now, and I think it's the same for everyone, probably we're so focused on just development of the gear, because the markets, and I do put it back to Mike Murphy and those guys doing the groundwork to understand the geometry of foiling, and then we're just lucky timing-wise that, we began to understand how to make it more accessible, and then the market's taking off. So really, we're just trying to keep up with the market and develop gear for people to love the sport. And this morning we were surfing on the south side of Maui at guardrails with Sky Rama and some of the locals, and there was this awesome lady there just loving her experience of foiling, just so positive. And she was just stoked, and she got waves, and she was gliding in, and she wasn't cracking turns in the whitewater, but that didn't matter. She was having the best stoke just gliding along on her foil.
Yeah.
So that's really where it's at right now, enjoying your time in the water. And then from here, where it progresses, I don't know, but I'm committed 100%. I think it's going to be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And we see different pockets in different parts of the world, and I can't wait to follow the story and see where this is all going. I know guys in Germany people are focusing on flat water pumping and try to figure out that. Then we have windy regions like here where people go like just sail races and sail into waves. So it's probably really also going to depend where in the world you are.
Yeah, and that's the beauty with foiling. You can do it on any body of water.
Yes.
So it's kind of the ultimate all-round water sport.
Yeah.
SUP is more accessible at the family level, which is why it's not going away, and it's still great off boats and all of that sort of thing. Foiling is more like, it's kind of going to take I think foiling is going to take surfing to the inland lakes like it's never happened before, because you can do it with or without a boat, you know.
Yeah.
And then you got winging, which is the wind sport element.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just that sensation.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
fun.
So cool. Well, here you have it. And more in depth about Armie's story in the upcoming magazine. For now, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Perfect. All right. Have 10 minutes.